that's just coming out of Lebanon, where the Israeli military has just carried out those airstrikes on Beirut. And let's just take a look at some of those latest pictures that you can see now. They're live from the southern suburb of Dahiyeh. It's a traditional stronghold of Hezbollah. The attacks are reported to have targeted what the Israeli army says is Hezbollah drone facilities. It is dark, it's at night obviously, so you might be able to see some of those flashes, but we've also been seeing some smoke. The army did issue forced evacuation warnings to the residents of 3 neighbourhoods of Dahiyeh before carrying out these attacks. Let's just take a listen briefly. So far, there's been no reports of injuries, but you can see that smoke there just rising. There was a massive warning sent out by Israel. Let's see. Now, those are the live pictures that you're seeing in front of you there. That's the suburb of Dahiyeh. That's in Beirut, in Lebanon's capital. It's one of the areas that has been repeatedly targeted by the Israeli Air Force through drones and also military jets. This is just one day before the Muslim celebration of Eid al-Adha, a time where families would have been gathering to prepare for that holiday that starts in less than 24 hours from now. That's the smoke that you can see from that Israeli air attack there. We're looking now at street views. That is live there from Beirut as people stop to see what's going on. We can also now go to Rami Khouri, who's a senior fellow at the American University of Beirut and also the Arab Center in Washington, D.C., and he joins us live now from Boston. Rami, thank you very much for your time. As always, this came as perhaps somewhat of a surprise to some degree, where residents were told that they needed to evacuate immediately as soon as possible. Now we're seeing that smoke where Israel has carried out those strikes. Are you aware of the circumstances of this?
Yeah, I don't think it's much of a surprise. Israel has been taking shots at Lebanon for the last 40 years. Civilian facilities like airports and bridges, Hezbollah targets, government targets. They've been doing this nonstop. It's no surprise that they've been assassinating people over the last 3-4 months. They've kept occupying 5 places in South Lebanon after the ceasefire agreement last, I think it was November. So it's no surprise at all. The Israelis have always used military force as their main instrument to get their foes to submit to them, or if they're, say, Lebanese or others, or if they're Palestinians, to drive them out of Palestine so they can expand Israel. So it's not a surprise at all. And this, we should see what's happening in the West Bank and in Syria. It's all part of the same Zionist playbook. And the irony is that it hasn't worked. It has only generated great resistance, and we'll have to see in Lebanon what it means, because Hezbollah took a hit last year, and they're obviously regrouping. They have to work on their intelligence, perhaps, or their capabilities. We don't know exactly what they're doing, but they are regrouping, and they have. Hezbollah has allowed the Lebanese army to take over some of its positions and facilities in South Lebanon, as the ceasefire agreement stipulated.
I was just about to say, where are we with this ceasefire agreement? Because this was an agreement between Hezbollah and Israel, and yet Israel has continued to carry out those strikes, specifically on Dahiyeh.
That's right, and they will keep doing that, and they don't need to offer proof. And if they do offer evidence, I would say over half the time it's untrue. We've just seen this in Gaza with their attacks on killing Palestinians, starving, running to get food from these humanitarian so-called aid delivery points. And the Israelis said it wasn't them, it was somebody else. And it turned out the evidence, CNN did some investigation. The evidence was it was the Israelis. So you can't believe really whatever the Israeli army or government says without double checking it. So, but they'll give any excuse, and they have a problem. Zionism and the State of Israel have a problem, which is after 100 years of aggression, they have not subdued the Palestinians or the Arab people around them. They have subdued some Arab governments. They have subdued Western governments. But there's still fierce resistance to what Israel is trying to achieve, while at the same time, ironically today, one of the Hamas, it's not so ironic, it's a fact of history, Hamas leader said that they made a new ceasefire offer, a revision of the one that the Israelis accepted. So they're still looking to reach a political agreement, if possible, to resolve the political dispute with Israel and to coexist non-violently with Palestinian rights and Israeli rights further down the road. So this is all part of this very complex, big, multifaceted war that's going on. But the beating heart of this war is aggressive, militant, cruel, and destructive, ongoing Israel Zionist military attacks against Palestinians, against Arabs, against anybody else, and maybe against Iran soon.
Yeah, and just a reminder to our viewers, so to give context as to what they're seeing, that's the night sky looking over Lebanon's capital. Beirut has been struck, specifically a suburb called Dahiyeh. This has been struck by Israeli military planes that have attacked what they are saying are Hezbollah targets in Beirut's southern suburb. Rami, can you also give us a reminder of what the situation is with southern Lebanon on that border with Israel? I'm talking about south of the Litani River. Is it still carrying out attacks in those areas as well?
Yes, it is carrying out occasional attacks, usually assassinating a person or blowing up a house or something that they say is a military facility. A lot of the civilians who had to evacuate South Lebanon have not gone back. A few have, but not many. The Israelis continue to occupy 5 strategic high points in the south, which they're not supposed to in the agreement. And the most important dynamic going on, which is still in early days, is the agreement between the Lebanese army and the new Lebanese leadership, the president, the prime minister, and Hezbollah for the Lebanese army to take control of some of the, or eventually all of the military facilities that Hezbollah has south of the Litani River. Some of them have already been turned over, and this has been confirmed by the army and Hezbollah. And so this is there's a movement in the south to try to keep it calm, because neither side wants to have a full outbreak of war again. The disputed points are whether Hezbollah has to give up all of its arms all over Lebanon, and related to this is a process by which the Palestinian leadership and the Lebanese government are discussing removing the arms in the Palestinian camps. There's 12 Palestinian refugee camps in Lebanon, and
I believe Burj al-Barajna, is Burj al-Barajna one of them, or near one of the camps in Lebanon?
Yes, Burj al-Barajna is one of the biggest ones, and you have 12 of them. So most of them have some kind of arms in them, but they're also, it's not just a question of arms. I mean, the Palestinians need the arms to defend themselves, because they've been attacked by Lebanese right-wing militia men under Israeli protection and other things. But it also creates zones of ungoverned zones, because the Lebanese army does not enter those camps, and this is not a situation that the Lebanese want to put up with.
Okay, Rami Khouri, thanks very much for speaking with us. I'm sure we'll be coming back to you in a moment. We just need to go straight to our correspondent, Zeina Khodr, who's actually on the ground in Beirut for us. Zeina, where are you exactly? What are you seeing at the moment, and what are you hearing?
Well, Sarah, we are at one of the entrances of Beirut's southern suburb. Beirut's southern suburb really is a very large area comprised of a number of neighborhoods, a very densely populated area. We are talking about hundreds of thousands of people who live here. The Israeli army, approximately an hour ago, in a post on X, threatened to target up to 8 buildings in 4 different different locations, calling on the people to evacuate, to move away 300 meters from these buildings. But the reality is these are major airstrikes. So everyone who lives in this whole area has to leave. A short while ago, there was heavy traffic here as people were making their way out. As you can imagine, this does cause a lot of panic. This is not the first time the Israeli army carries out airstrikes in Beirut's southern suburb since a ceasefire came into force last November. But this is the largest and biggest attack. So up to 8 buildings, the Israeli strikes have started to begin. If you talk to people here, what they will tell you is that this is terrorism. They warn people to leave in the middle of the night and on the eve of a major religious holiday, Eid al-Adha, when, families come together and, people having to make their way out of this whole area. The Lebanese authorities call these attacks aggressions and blatant violations of the ceasefire. But Israel doesn't see it that way. Israel believes it is carrying out and implementing that ceasefire because the Lebanese authorities are not doing their job. The Israeli army is claiming that what they are targeting is underground facilities where Hezbollah produces drones. Now, the Lebanese authorities, like I said, have repeatedly condemned these attacks, saying that these attacks does not help them carry out their mission, if you like, to ensure that all arms are in the hands of the state. So yet another Israeli attack in Beirut's southern suburb. The last one was 5 weeks ago in the end of April, but only one building was targeted. Now we are talking about 8 buildings.
And Zeina, you were just saying earlier that it's the largest and biggest strike. I didn't quite hear since when, but what's the significance of the neighbourhood of Dahiyeh? Because that has been repeatedly targeted even during this ceasefire.
Yes, no doubt. Hezbollah and Israel engaged in more than a year of hostilities, mainly along the border until last September when Israel launched this wide-scale offensive against Hezbollah, targeting neighborhoods where Hezbollah supporters live, where Hezbollah holds sway and has influence. Among those areas is Beirut's southern suburb. During 2 months of heavy bombardment, hundreds of buildings were destroyed in the southern suburbs of Beirut. But a ceasefire came into force in late November. Some people returned to their homes, but after the first strike to target a building in Beirut's southern suburb, some people did pack up their belongings and moved elsewhere. This conflict is far from over. Statements by the Israeli officials, we're hearing from the Israeli defense minister a short while ago saying, we will continue to enforce the ceasefire without, quote, any compromise. And we instructed our army to attack, quote, with terror. So Israel really seeing this as part of its campaign to implement the ceasefire because the Lebanese authorities, in their view, have failed to do so. Now, Lebanese authorities, what do they say? They say that the army has dismantled hundreds of military sites belonging to Hezbollah very close to the border area, south of the Litani River to the border area. But what Israel and the United States has been demanding is for the Lebanese authorities to fully disarm Hezbollah, not just in the south of the country, but across the country. And that has still not happened. And this is why you hear these statements from Israeli officials who say that we are carrying out this ceasefire ourselves. But the Lebanese authorities repeatedly argue that they are not able to, convince, if you like, Hezbollah to agree to full disarmament as long as Israel continues attacks like this, as long as Israel continues to occupy territory in southern Lebanon. They still remain in some positions within Lebanese territory in southern Lebanon. So, as you can see, this conflict is far from over. People are concerned. They are concerned that the situation, could escalate at any time.
I was just just about to ask you, Zeina, is how are the Lebanese people reacting to this? Because, as you said, more than 2 months of bombardment. Many were forced to leave Lebanon, some of them even walking across to Syria. What does that mean for those that are closer to the border with Israel, those southern towns and villages, or even those that have been forced out of their homes today?
Well, nearly 100,000 people remain displaced. 100,000 people. They have not been able to go back to their homes simply because they have no homes to return to. All villages that lie along Lebanon's southern border with Israel have been flattened, razed to the ground, either because of Israeli airstrikes, drone strikes, or Israeli detonations. There was a time when the Israeli army was in southern Lebanon, and they were detonating homes and, using the pretext that these homes, civilian infrastructure, were being used by Hezbollah. So there's still a massive displacement crisis. And anybody who tries even to return to these villages, to set up even a prefabricated house, that structure is targeted. So there is, if you like, a de facto security zone that Israel has imposed in southern Lebanon, preventing people to go back. Now, here in the southern suburb of Beirut, we've heard about many cases where, people have just moved out of the area because of these ongoing attacks every now and then. Yes, the last time this area was attacked was 5 weeks ago. But, these warnings come in the middle of the night sometimes and without warning, and people have an hour to pack up whatever they can and to leave the area and to find a safe place. And this really, it causes a lot of anxiety for the people here. But but people here will also tell you that they believe this military pressure that Israel is exerting on Hezbollah supporters, because many of its supporters live in Beirut's southern suburb, is really part of the pressure that they are trying to put on the group to agree to full disarmament.
OK, thank you very much, Zeina Khodr, for that update there from Beirut.